Hello everyone, welcome to Vishesh Educational Videos. In this video, I am explaining about the definition of graphical user interface, and also along with the graphical user interface, I am explaining about the concept of direct manipulation and indirect manipulation. So if you are not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel, and to get the notification of my new videos, please click the bell icon, and please don't forget to like the video, and please don't forget to share the video with your friends. So let me begin the explanation of GUI definition and also the concept of direct manipulation and indirect manipulation. So first of all, what is GUI? In brief, a GUI can be defined as follows. A user interface is a collection of techniques. In the sense, a graphical user interface is a collection of techniques and mechanisms to interact with something, right? So if you want to, in a simple words, if you want to interact with your system, you need some interface. So that interface is nothing but, if you use a graphical components, then that interface will be called as graphical user interface, right? So if you are using a graphical user interface, you should use some pointing device like mouse, right? For example, you can see this is the example of a graphical user interface. So graphical user interface means you are going to interact with your computer or a system, right, by the means of some graphical components such as, you can see here, icons. These are nothing but icons, right? Or you can see the tabs, right, or manipulating icons. This is the slider, right, and this is the status bar. See, so here you can interact with your system using this type of graphical components, right? So that is nothing but a GUI, right? So it is an interface, graphical user interface, that can be of graphical components. So to use this type of graphical components, I need a pointing device like mouse, right? And also in a GUI, what the user interacts, right? That icons or that objects is nothing but, the elements, whatever the elements are called as objects. So for example, so these icons, these tabs, this slider or status bar, these are nothing but, right? These are nothing but the objects, right? So they can be seen, the object can be seen, heard, touched, or otherwise perceived, right? So you can interact, in the simple words, you can interact with the objects. Objects are always visible to the user and are used to perform tasks. You can see, right, these objects are visible to the users, and also I can perform my task using this object. For example, using a window manipulating icon, I can minimize the window, or I can close the window. Using a tabs, I can search tab. You can see here I can search something. Using this right, calendar, I can see the date, or I can use the calculator to calculate something, right? So in this way, so GUI elements are considered as objects, and these objects are visible, and these objects can be used to perform tasks, right? So objects are independent to each other. Independent to each other means I can interact with all the objects, right, independently. All these objects are independent. Icons are not dependent on tabs. Tabs are not dependent on slider or a status bar, like that. Each objects are independent. Getting, guys? So whenever the people interact with the objects, that interactions are nothing but actions. So people perform actions on objects. The operations include, you can access the object, or you can modify the objects by selecting or by pointing. For example, you can see here, I am interacting with this object. If I click on that object, that app store will get opened. So in this way, right, I can do the things with the objects, right? I am performing the action. What is the action I'm doing here? I'm clicking. If I click is action. If I click on the app store will get opened. Getting, guys? That's it, right? So interface is nothing but a bridge between a system and the user. So if you are using a graphical components to interact with your computer, then in the simple words it can be called as graphical user interface, right? So if I say a GUI contains objects or elements, right? Now before that, this is the simple diagrammatic representation of a graphical user interface. You can see there, user will be there, right? And the hardware will be there. User can interact with the hardware using the interface. Where here I am particularly talking about graphical user interface. Suppose, right? You can see here. So user can interact with the server. Server is going to service the request of the user using a graphical user interface, right? In the same way, user can interact with the hardware like mouse, keyboard. So without the interface, mouse and keyboards are just just machines. For user, for keyboard and to mouse, for keyboard and mouse to work properly, you need an interface, right? So user can interact with the hardware using the graphical user interface. In the simple words, a graphical user interface, or in general, the interface is a bridge between user and the system. So your system is nothing but a hardware, right? Right? So user can interact with the hardware using the graphical user interface. In a simple words, right? Suppose if you have any doubts, please post your doubts in the comment section. So when I say graphical user interface, certain elements will form a graphical user interface. You can see here elements like icons, tabs, window manipulating icons, slider, right? Slider, status bar, right? So now we are going to see what are the elements that are used while preparing or while developing a graphical user interface. First of all, window, what it will do, this is the element that displays the information on the screen. You can see, so this is the window, the square area is nothing but a window. So you can see this window, what it is doing, it is displaying the information for the user. It is displaying the icons, right, for the user. So window is going to display the information on the screen, and it is very easy to manipulate a window. That means it can be opened or closed with a click of an icon. You can see, you can close the window if you click on the red icon. If you can maximize the window if you click on the green icon, like that. So you can interact with the window. It can be opened or closed easily, right? Moreover, it can be moved to any area by dragging it around, right? So you can move this window, that is possible. You can drag this window on to any place on the screen. That is possible. In multitasking environment, you can open simultaneously, you can open so many different windows. Here in this diagram you're seeing only one window, but if you want, you can open two or more windows at the same time. Getting, guys? And there are multiple types of windows in a graphical user interface. For example, a container window, browser window, terminal window, message window, like that. This is the example of a container window, right? It contains icons. In this way, there are different types of windows, right? So when you use the internet, then that window is called as a browser window. If you enter something using a terminal, that is a text terminal window. When the message is displayed to the user, and it is called as message window, like that. Not only the window, another important component of graphical user interface is menu. So in simple words, a menu contains a list of choices. You can see the left side, see the cursor, this is nothing but a menu. Here you have list of choices like applications, desktop, documents, downloads, movies, like that, right? So menu contains a list of choices, and it allows the user to select one from them. If I want, I can select any one of them. I can click any one of the option and I can interact with them, right? A menu bar is displayed horizontally across the screen, such as pull down menu, right? So for example, this is a pull down menu. Not only pull down, right? Other varieties of menus are also possible. So it will be displayed like this horizontally, right? So list of options will be presented to the user. User can select any one of the option you can select. So here also I can select any one of the option that I like. Getting right? And another type of menu is context menu. And one more important thing, pull down menu appears only when you click on that menu, right? When you click here, it appears, right? Another type of menu is context menu that appears only when the user perform a specific action. It appears only when the user perform a specific action. That is context menu. An example of this is pressing the right mouse button. Yes. So when you click on the right mouse button, it will give some option. Otherwise, it don't display that options, right? When you click, when you click the right mouse button, it will display the options. Otherwise, it won't display the options. That type of menus are nothing but context menu. Getting, guys? And not only the windows, not only the menus, along with that, we have icons. These are also the important components of GUI, right? For example, it is like a small picture. The icons are nothing but a small picture in GUI. These are this app store, app cleaner, automator, calculator, calendar. All these are icons. These are simple small pictures. You can interact with the icons by clicking on the icons. Using an icon is a fast way to open documents, run programs, etc. Right? Because why it is fast means it is simple. Just you can interact with the icon by clicking on them, right? Right? Just by clicking on them you can interact. Next, controls. Right? Controls are nothing but like these are simply called as widgets. Normally widgets are used to display list of items. For example, clock widget, right? Like that. For example, here in the right, if you see any, for example, if you see the clock, digital clock, the clock can be called as a widget, right? So weather information widget, clock widget, right? So these widgets can be called as controls, right? Right? So tabs. Next is a tab. A tab is associated with a view pane, right? It usually contains a text label or graphical icon. Tabs are sometimes related to widgets, and multiple tabs allows user to switch between different widgets. For example, you can see these are nothing but tabs. So if you here you can see there are two tabs opened here. One is application tags and tabs, and another one is pro data. If you click on pro data, that type those tabs will be open. If you click on the application, so that tab will be opened, right? So tabs it's like a text label. You can see application is a text label, pro data is a text label. So right, getting, guys? So tabs are used in various web browsers such as Firefox, Internet Explorer. Multiple web pages can be opened in a web browser. How you can open multiple web pages means using tabs. Here I open two tabs, right? I can open as many tabs as I want, if it is possible, right? Getting? So, and I can switch between the tabs. I told you, if I want pro data, I can click on pro data. If I want application, I can click on application. That is possible. I can switch between the tabs. Getting, guys? And popularity. Why the graphics is so much popular, right? So instead of graphics, that one can use a command oriented interface also, but most of the people prefer graphics. Why? right? Why means graphics assumes three-dimensional look, whereas text-based system assume one-dimensional look. You can see here, this is a three-dimensional look, right? So that's why it will be very attractive for the user while using the interface. Instead of this three-dimensional look, if you use only text, right, it's not that attractive and it's not that simple. It will be very difficult for the user to understand. That's why graphics is popular. Graphics assumes three-dimensional look rather than the one-dimensional look. And in graphics, information can appear or disappear through floating windows and navigation, right? And also, okay, whatever the commands you want to do, that can be done using menus also. That's why it is very simple, right? So you can, if you want, you can use pull down menus, right? When you click on that menu, it will come. Otherwise, it won't display also. You can interact like this. That is possible, and it will be very attractive, right? That's why, right? And also, increased computer power and the vast improvement in the display enable the user actions to be reacted to quickly, dynamically, meaningfully. That means another thing. So if you are using a command oriented interface, you have to remember the commands. But if you are using a graphics, you don't need to remember anything, right? So it is very quick. User can get very quick actions, right? He don't need to remember anything. That's why. And also, right? And also, if properly used, graphics can reduce mental load. It can reduce a mental load, because I told you, you don't need to remember anything if you are using a graphics oriented interface. User will, right, for a user, using an interface will be very simple and it will be very attractive. So that's why he don't have any stress. His mental load will be reduced, right? Getting, guys? That's why a graphics user interface is so much popular, right? So I discussed the basic concepts of GUI. Now I am discussing the concept of direct manipulation. So what is direct manipulation? So the definition of direct manipulation is the direct manipulation is an interaction style in which object of interest in the user interface are visible, obviously. So some objects will be visible for you in the interface. I will explain with the example, don't worry. And can be acted upon. You can use your objects. You can use that objects, right? You can interact with that objects by performing actions, but that actions are reversible and those actions are incremental. After doing the action on object, you are going to get immediate feedback, right? So don't get confused. I will explain in a more simple way. See, for example, what you are doing here in a mobile, you are directly interacting with the screen. If you want to zoom in or zoom out the image in the interface, directly you can do that by using your fingers. That is direct manipulation. That means you are directly interacting with your interface. Getting, guys? So here, so objects, whatever the objects of a graphics will be displayed. So user can interact with that objects, right? He can perform any actions. So immediately he will get the result. For example, when you are playing the game in the mobile, so you are directly interacting with the mobile screen. That is the example of direct manipulation, right? Directly you are interacting with the mobile screen. So when you move the object in the game, you will get the immediate result. The object will be moved immediately. Here also, if you zoom in, so uh, right, at that moment only the screen will zoom in or zoom out. You are getting the immediate result. And reversible, if you do something wrong, you can go back. That means if you want to, for example, if you are zooming out, suppose if you want to zooming in, then immediately you can do that. The action is reversible. You can undo your action, and you are directly interacting with the interface. Mobile is the best example. Getting, guys? So direct manipulation, where the objects will be displayed here. In this example, objects are nothing but a zoom in and zoom out option will be there, right? So that won't be displayed also. The zoom in and zoom out option will not be displayed as a menu choices. You have to just use your fingertips. You have to just use your fingertips to zoom in and zoom out. I don't have any menus here. That is also one thing here in direct manipulation. Also, in where we are playing the game in mobile also, then I don't give any menus for you. You have to directly interact with the mobile screen using your fingers, right? Getting, guys? So in direct manipulation, objects will be displayed, and you can act on that objects. If you want, you can reverse your actions, right? And you are going to get a immediate result, that is immediate feedback. When you zoom in, immediately it will zoom in. When you zoom out also, it will immediately zoom out. Getting, guys? Hope you are understanding. Suppose if you have any doubts, please post your doubts in the section, right? Next, indirect manipulation. And what are the characteristics of direct manipulation? First of all, the characteristics is the system is portrayed as an extension of the real world. In a simple way, a person is allowed to work in a familiar environment and in a familiar way, focusing on the data, not the application and tools, right? So whatever the user is familiar, those things only displayed, or those things will be shown to the user. What the user is unfamiliar, what are the things that the user is unfamiliar, those things will be hidden from the user. You can see here, right? So some complex things I can avoid in direct manipulation. So I can only give some simple tasks for the user to interact, right? Familiar environment, in simple words, I can give familiar environment. And continuous visibility of objects and actions. For example, when you are playing a game, you can see the game continuously in your mobile. While playing the game, you are seeing the objects of the game continuously, right? The objects you can see continuously, and their actions also you can do at the instant only. Instantly you can at a shot you can apply the actions on your objects. Getting, guys? Simple. In simple words, while you are playing the game, you can play your game at any time. Continuously you can play your game. Continuous visibility will be there in direct manipulation. And also actions are rapid and incremental with visible display of results. That means, I told you already, where you can zoom in or zoom out, right? And when you zoom in, at that moment only it will zoom in, or if you zoom out, it will at that moment only it will zoom out, right? Actions are rapid, that is, actions are quick. And incremental. Incremental means if you want, you can undo also. The impact of the previous action is quickly seen, and if you want, you can, right, it is reversible also, right? Getting, guys? The results of the actions are immediately displayed visually on the screen. I told you, right, already, right? The impact of a previous action is quickly seen, and the tasks are continuous and effortless. You know that you can do whatever the task you want continuously without any delay. That is the thing. And incremental actions are easily reversible. I already told you. Finally, whatever the things if you do whatever the things that is done already, that can be reversible. If you want to undo the changes, you can do that without any problem, right? It can be easily undone. So these are the characteristics of direct manipulation. Hope you are understanding, guys. So for direct manipulation, the simple example is using your fingerprints to zoom in and zoom out the image, right? And also playing the game in the mobile is also, right, example of a direct manipulation, because directly you are interacting with the screen of the mobile, Now, what is indirect manipulation? So indirect manipulation is in indirect manipulation, all the screen objects, right? First of all, before that, why we need indirect manipulation? What are the disadvantages of direct manipulation? So the thing is, the operation may be difficult to conceptualize in the graphical system. For example, so if you consider any of the operation, so you don't have, for example, for zoom in and zoom out, you can use the fingertips. For some other task, you can't follow the same rules. You can't use only the fingertip technique, right? So that doesn't apply to each and every technique, right? So that is the difficulty for you. For each and everything, you can't use your fingers. That is not possible. So you can't conceptualize your operations. That is one disadvantage. And if your graphics capability of a system is limited, then obviously you can't include those options, right? So you need more processing powers, more graphics capabilities here, right? If this zoom in and zoom out capabilities, if you want to include, the processing power of that machine or mobile should be high. Graphics capability should be high. You can't use these graphics for the keypad mobiles. That is not possible. That's why. And also, the amount of space available for placing manipulation control in the window border may be limited. That means you can't place all the options in this small screen. The space will be limited. That is also one reason. You can't give all the options. You can't put all the options on this simple screen. That is not that is difficult. That's why. That is one disadvantage, right, of a direct manipulation. And also, it may be difficult for people to learn and remember all the necessary operations and actions. Most importantly, I told you, you can use your fingers to zoom in and zoom out, right? So if you are using a direct manipulation, user has to remember that. For example, zoom in, you have to drag your finger. For zoom out, you have to again drag your fingers back. For for deleting, you have to double click, like that. For each and every operation, you have to remember what to do. That is difficult for the user. He has to remember each and everything while doing the task. So that's why indirect manipulation was introduced. Now, what is indirect manipulation? Indirect manipulation, in simple words, it substitutes words and text such as pull down or pop up menus for symbols, right? And instead of typing, it substitutes pointing. Don't get confused. In simple words, you can see here. So in a mobile, what I did for zoom in and zoom out, in direct manipulation, I just used my fingers. But in indirect manipulation, I am giving the options using the menu. Directly you are not interacting with the screen. You are interacting with the screen by clicking on the options, by clicking on the menu, by clicking using the pointing device. Getting, guys? Directly you are not interacting with the screen using your fingers. Yes, you are interacting with the screen, right? But how you are interacting means you are indirectly interacting by using the menus. You are interacting first while in a direct manipulation for zoom in and zoom out, directly you are using your fingers. Here it's not possible. First you have to go to the menu, then in that menu you have to take one choice, then you have to click on that choice, then you will see the result. That is indirect. Getting, guys? So direct means directly you can interact. Indirect means you need a menu. You need indirectly, you need a menu, then indirectly you are zooming in or zooming out by using the menu. Directly you are not interacting with the screen. You are interacting with the screen using the menus. So this is the example. You can see here for zooming in and zooming out. See, you can see same thing. See, so I am zooming in, I am zooming out. Directly I am doing this, but one second. But here for zooming in and zooming out, I have to click. Right, indirectly I am doing this using the menus. Getting, guys? Hope you understood the concepts. If you have any doubts, please post your doubts in the comment section. So before that, I'll brief direct manipulation and indirect manipulation. Direct manipulation means you are going to interact with your interface directly. For example, mobiles. Indirect manipulation means directly you are not interacting with the mobile screen. Before interacting, I will give the list of items in a menu. Then you have to click on the items, right? So here you are indirectly interacting with the use of menus, not directly with the screen or interface. Getting